Hello. This episode of the Shallow and Pedantic podcast is somewhat discordant. For some reason, Zencaster cut us off in the middle of recording, and also, Kieran didn't show up until about halfway through. He claims to have had a brain fart. We think he was high on party drugs. There will be a tape slice halfway through with a brief musical interlude. Otherwise, things should proceed normally. Thank you, and thanks for listening to Shallow and Pedantic.
Pan in Big Trouble in Little China,
Oh,
and he was also in Blade Runner. He's been in like fucking everything.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China should be a Canon film, but I don't think it is.
It is not.
Didn't
surprising.
What's his name? Who directed that?
That's John Carpenter.
That's John Carpenter. John Carpenter directed Big Trouble in Little
Yeah.
China. That's probably one of my favorite schlock 80s movies.
Oh no, it's amazing. Like fucking Big Trouble. Like I own 2 copies. Like yeah, no, it's. I'm a fan of that.
When it comes out on Criterion, I'm buying it.
I mean,
wait,
give it, like,
is it on Criterion? I'm gonna check.
I don't think so. Not yet. Like there was a special edition that got re-released recently. I feel like Criterion should pick up his shit though, at least some of it, like in the future. Like they should definitely do one for Halloween.
I feel like I'm looking for John Carpenter right now on Criterion. By the way, we're recording. I'm not waiting for Kieran any longer.
No, right on.
He'll show up when he gets here. No, Cronenberg's here. I can watch Videodrome if I wanted to.
That's a fun one, but like I don't know. Like I like some of his like literal B stuff. Like what was it? The Nightbreed. Yeah, that's like a personal favorite of mine. Like Cronenberg movies. But
I've not seen any Cronenberg. All I know about him is body horror.
Like The Fly, like the original one with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. Like that's like horror tragedy to a T.
Is that Cronenberg?
Yeah, and it's like it's not just like grotesque and like horrific. It also is like it's fucking depressing. Like, but like it's also the kind of story that should be.
Yeah.
So I mean, and, you know, but it's like you're like, goddamn, yeah. It's not an uplifting film.
No, I wouldn't think so. We got John Lurie, we got John Cassavetes, we got John McKenzie, we got John Sturges. Great Escape. Ooh, Great Escape.
So, I know we're doing this podcast about Canon films and everything. So I was looking into them earlier, and I didn't know this, but apparently they did during like their run as like both a production company and a distribution company. They got 3 of their films got nominated for Oscars.
Right, I saw that as well. Street Smart and Joe and one other one.
So I did a little digging into each of these films, I'd heard of Street Smart because of Superman and Christopher Reeve and all of that stuff, and they also did. They actually produced Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which was a terrible movie.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So that was in fact a Canon film.
That's a great question. Is Superman 4 a worse or a better film than A Man of Steel?
Well, like I don't know. Like they were definitely. Oh wow. Ooh, that's shit. That's a tough
they're
question.
Both awful in completely different ways.
Damn. Wow. Yeah, I don't have a quick answer to that one. I don't really want to torture myself enough to find out though. Shit.
No, it's not worth it. I remember watching Superman 4: The Quest for Peace a lot, and I have fond memories of it as a kid watching it, but recognizing even then that it's goofy and it's kind of silly now.
They're like Richard Donner was like, I cashed that check. I'm moving on.
It's still a better. I think it's. I've only seen Superman 3 once, and I hated it. Just because it made Superman evil, and you don't do that.
It was
Don't
also
do
just
that.
kind of like it was just weird.
Yeah, it was
It was
grim
just
and
really it was really
unpleasant.
weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Superman's good. Superman 2 is great. The other two are kind of like
Eh,
it's like the Jaws franchise, you know?
yeah. Like I enjoyed the shit out of Richard Pryor in Superman 3, but I was just like I wish
Yeah,
I wish there had been a better movie for him to be in essentially. Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree
Cuz
with you.
like his character was cool. I was like, "Yes, this is why I'm watching this movie. Like I'm like 8 years old, but I'm like, "No, that's Richard Pryor. I want to see that movie." You know, like I know who he is. He's a funny man. I want to watch him. But
He's
like
the funny man I've seen in the funny movies being funny.
yep.
So where is Kieran?
I don't know.
Where is he?
You want me to try and text him?
He's not. I don't have his phone number. I don't
I'll
think.
tell. I'll be
Either.
like, "Hey man, where are you?"
I just hit the Discord and asked him where he was. I hope he's okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. So
I mean, I heard from him earlier. Like, I don't know.
it's weird that I've never heard of Joe until I looked at this now.
Yeah, so that apparently got nominated, and so it came out in 1970. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that is interesting to me was apparently this was sort of the first movie of like the 70s to show these like at the time very realistic, sort of gritty, grounded, working class characters. Like this was years before Taxi
Taxi
Driver, like
driver.
with
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but this in some like there, it's sort of implied that like this may have actually started that whole movement in the 70s. And apparently one of the things, Peter, what's his name? He was in Young Frankenstein as like the monster.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Peter Doyle.
Peter Doyle.
Yeah.
So
That's what I
apparently,
know him from.
that's Peter Doyle. That's like I've seen him in like two or three other films, but like he apparently had such a visceral reaction to the positive like response of to the violence in the film that
Uh-huh.
he like basically forswore like being violent on film again. Like
Okay.
after that, yeah, which I thought was really interesting. Um, because the film basically ends with like a mass shooting, and it's also where like the moral arc of the plot hits home, and um,
He kills a bunch of hippies.
including his own daughter who was taking refuge with them.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's this whole like because he goes there to find her and rescue her, and then like kills her in the process.
Yeah.
But apparently that was not like a kind of like that kind of thing sort of seems kind of cliche or like passe, to us now, but like that was
Mm-hmm.
not really the kind of film that got circulated like in 1970, right?
No, but it's the most 1970 thing of all time once you think about it. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying it's interesting to me that it's like this element that like might have been an early, like influential film or something that
Mm-hmm.
led to frankly probably better movies, but like I mean, I enjoyed Taxi Driver. I thought it was great. I don't really want to sit through it again, but I thought it
I
was a good film. I don't regret seeing it.
yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of interested, but yeah, that is one thing that is you remember about the films from the 70s all the way up through Taxi Driver was those
Mm.
that the grittiness of them and
Mm-hmm.
the there was I don't know something about the way they were shot. They were shot in a particular way to get a particular like scheme of color that was very heavily saturated
Yeah.
without being technicolor.
Well, and I think that's one of the elements of like that era of film that Tarantino basically lifted whole cloth
Mm-hmm.
into like his productions and like his films. Like even I think you see some of that even in like Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, let me pull up my notes here.
Okay.
On the
So
old
that was
Canon
one of the
films.
things. It got nominated, but it didn't win. Did it get nominated for Best Picture?
So I gotta tell you, like, I do kind of want to see all three of these ones that got nominated for the Oscar. I haven't seen any of them. The one that I'm most intrigued by is actually the Runaway Train film.
Yeah, that
Um,
looked really interesting.
well, and part of that is that's the one that where the script was based on a screen treatment, a script that Kurosawa had written for a film that he was trying to get off the ground in like the mid '60s.
Sure.
And he actually wanted it. He intended it for it to be his first color film, but then the financing basically fell through, and then I guess something like 10 years later, or even longer, they like it became a Canon film. John Voight plays the lead.
Yeah.
So it seems like a really interesting plot. Like, I mean, almost the entire film takes place on a train that has lost control, and like people are responding to try and like stop this train from like, running onto the main line or having a collision or whatever. And it's essentially two escaped convicts that are on the train. So I found that whole combination very interesting.
That
I
is
read
that's a neat plot. I
Mhm.
like that idea.
Yeah, it kind of puts a different spin on the old like train heist genre. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's sort of the other. So
He was
yeah,
it was directed by a Russian.
mhm. Yep.
Konchalovsky. Never heard of him.
Yeah, I don't. He's credited with like one other film that I could see that I just had never heard of, didn't recognize. So like this was a
Apparently
very interesting rabbit hole to go down.
apparently he directed Tango and Cash.
Oh shit, I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a good movie, but like I enjoyed watching it when I watched it.
It was the first action movie that kind of winked at the tropes of action movies,
Oh
just
yeah.
by this like having Stallone in the movie and say stuff about Rambo, like
Yeah.
get it.
Right. Well, and I thought it was funny because apparently Cobra, which is a Stallone movie, was like probably Canon's biggest moneymaker.
Oh
Was
yeah,
one of
they
their
did
yeah.
Cobra.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a cheap movie to make. It was probably their most expensive film, but they definitely made it back. Like it was a big moneymaker for Canon, apparently.
Well, you gotta pay for Stallone if you're gonna get Stallone.
Well, especially in the '80s, right?
Yeah,
Like, I
right.
mean,
That's peak Stallone. He doesn't come
right.
cheap.
No, exactly.
Like I'm looking at these, and I don't know if I've seen any of them except for like a handful.
Which ones have you seen?
Well, let's see. I'm going with the Body and Soul. I haven't seen any Death Wish movie. Last American Virgin. Half of these sound like porn.
So, so one thing I did want to say was they bought the distribution rights to the original Death Wish, but they did not make the original Death Wish. They just made all the sequels.
Right. That's another film franchise that was completely unnecessary, but which happened anyway.
Yep.
Break Into Electric Boogaloo.
Yep.
I've never seen that, which is funny because that's the name of my my Wi-Fi. I call my Wi-Fi that Electric Boogaloo. It's just like a running gag between myself and the wife, but I've never actually seen it. Rappin', Grace Quigley, Hot Chili, Life Force, Thunder Alley, Salome, Hard Rock Zombies, Invasion USA. Isn't that
that's a Chuck Norris movie.
Yeah, I think I saw some of that on Best of the Worst. King Solomon's Mine. No.
Yeah, that's the Richard Chamberlain Quartermain movie.
Yeah, there's another one. There was King Solomon's Wines, and there was Richard
and the Lost City of Gold, which actually had James Earl Jones in it, which was actually a better film.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Another unnecessary film series. Because the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not scary, but just really, really weird and disturbing.
Yeah,
and so there's definitely worth watching.
Well, it's like Night of the Living Dead. I'm just like, there's nothing else like it. You should, if you haven't seen this film, you should actually watch it once. Like, if you like movies at all, even if you're not into horror, you should see those two films because they were extremely influential, and also there's subtext.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is actually really good. Our number one with a bullet over the I've seen Over the Top. I've seen Over the Top once or two or three times actually. God,
I had seen parts of the Barbarians movie.
What a terrible movie that is.
It was terrible.
Oh, I haven't seen the Barbarians. The Barbarian Brothers as the Barbarians.
Yeah.
Oh god. Were they like wrestlers or something?
I
They
don't
look like
know.
wrestlers.
So they're in an outtake, like a deleted scene from Natural Born Killers. Yeah, that's weird Easter egg. The only other thing I ever saw them in, aside from that movie and that deleted scene from Natural Born Killers, was there was some movie I saw that came out in the 80s. It was also a B movie that was not a Canon film that was basically called like, I think it was called like Street Fleet or some shit like that. Mr. T was in it for like, 10 minutes or whatever, which is why I fucking watched it when I was like 7 years old.
Sure.
But like, these two dudes are in there as like these giant like fucking like taxi driver guys, and they're just like part of an ensemble cast. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, like it might be 1983, but if you guys like, anyway, yeah. So
Oh god. Hanoi Hilton.
I'd heard of that one. I have not seen it.
I have not seen that movie. There was a glut of Vietnam movies in the late 80s.
Yeah,
Best one is Full Metal Jacket, of course.
yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin.
I thought Platoon was good too, but
Platoon is fine, but I like
yeah.
Platoon is way too Platoon is trying too hard to be art,
It
and
is,
Full
yeah,
Metal Jacket is just all the Kubrick with all the cruelty that implies,
yep,
and it's another movie. That's another example of a movie that there's really nothing like it. Like I've
yeah,
never seen a movie do what Full Metal Jacket does, where it's basically two movies spliced together,
yeah.
and it shouldn't work, and
But it
you have
does.
to. It does. It does. Um,
It's up
there's a
there with like Apocalypse Now.
I
But
agree. Yeah, I agree. Apocalypse Now being a movie I've watched several times because it's on Netflix, and it gets better every time I watch it. I appreciate it more. Um, Penitentiary 3, King Lear. There's a Jean-Luc Godard directed version of King Lear.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I would
I
actually
don't.
watch that.
I would watch that too. Who's in it?
That's a good question.
Script was written by Peter Sellers and Tom Letty. Originally,
What?
I know, originally assigned to Norman Mailer. Who's in this thing?
What?
Burgess
Oh no.
Meredith. Burgess Meredith is in it,
Okay.
and Molly Ringwald, and Woody Allen, and Peter Sellers, and Norman Mailer apparently, and let's see, Julie Delpy, Leos Carax. This
Oh
is
shit! I need to see
weird.
this movie now. I need to
I
watch
need
this.
I need to watch this too. This is a
What year
Canon
did this
film,
come out?
1987.
No shit. All right. That's another hidden treasure. Goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah, this is. I've been looking for a way to start watching French New Wave cinema, and I just haven't been willing to commit to sitting through Breathless,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been like on my list and on my list. I'm gonna watch Breathless, but I don't really feel like paying money to watch Breathless right now. I could watch it on Amazon, or I could get a Criterion copy, but I don't want to do too many Criterion blind buys.
You've seen the original, like the French film, like La Femme Nikita, right? It is a Luc Besson movie.
Yes, I've seen La Femme
Okay.
Nikita. I've
Okay. Cool.
seen La Femme Nikita.
Cool.
I remember because what's his name shows up as the cleaner. Who is that? That really ugly guy from The Professional.
Jean Reno.
Jean Reno is like, Je suis Victor, le
Yeah.
traîneur.
Yeah.
That's a nicely weird film.
Yeah. No, it's like talking about movies that aren't, that are. Yeah, there's nothing like them, man.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Tough Guys Don't Dance. I'm just going through the Canon
That
film
was
list.
another like Norman Mailer movie, apparently.
Yes, based on novel of same name.
Yeah, and like I guess he was involved like to a certain extent in the production, or like he at least like showed up or like wrote the screenplay for it or something. I mean, like Norman Mailer was still alive then.
When did he die? Not that I care that much. I don't think I've ever actually read a Norman Mailer novel. I think
No, I haven't either.
I think I
Like I
tried to read Ancient Evenings once, and I was like, okay, he's walking to the stupid pyramid. He's walking to the pyramid. Is something gonna happen? I'm already 200 pages in. God.
Yeah, no, that's tedious. Yeah, I don't know. Like the only Norman Mailer I've ever read is like parts of like an anthology,
Yeah.
or like it's in block quotes or things like that. And I'm like, huh, okay. I don't think I could sit through the whole book, but like this is an interesting passage of prose. Like
When he died, pretty much everyone was like, The Naked and the Dead is good. Everything else is kind of crap.
yeah,
I have seen Masters of the Universe.
yes, as have I. It's fucking Dolph Lundgren just like being like, I have the paycheck. It's just yeah.
That's a movie that that's a movie that you just end up loving in spite of itself.
Oh yeah, no, it's freaking cheese on wheat. It's camp
It's
at it,
yeah,
yeah.
it's camp that's so full on that it's actually becomes entertainment through pure
What I think
commitment.
is what's hilarious about that film is like Courtney Cox is in it.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's her parents that die or whatever and all that whole thing. And I was like, I just think it's funny that like nobody really like asks her about it so much in like interviews now.
Frank Langella is carrying that movie. He's carrying that film. He is doing yeoman's work. Dancers Surrender. Barfly. I have seen Barfly.
Okay.
Barfly, because Barfly was based on Barfly is a semi-autobiography of Bukowski.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he wrote the screenplay.
Okay.
And then he wrote one of his semi-autobiographical novels based on the time he spent making this movie in Hollywood, which is the only one of those Bukowski novels I haven't read.
That might be worth following up on after watching the film, though.
Yeah, like I've seen Barfly. It's like if you're familiar with Bukowski's work, you're like, yep, this is pretty much what you'd expect. It's not a bad movie. Directed by Barbet Schrader. I have no idea.
Interesting. I don't know who that is.
He's a Swiss director.
Oh, okay.
He's a Swiss director. He hung out with Godard and Jacques Rivette and some other guys. He's kind of
okay.
He's the Swiss New Wave.
Interesting.
But I've seen that.
So,
go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead.
No. I'm just going down the list now. So if you had
which ones what other ones have you seen?
That's what I'm looking to see what I've seen because Alien from LA. We just mentioned that.
What was that like? I've never seen that one.
I would recommend watching the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode Alien from LA because it is it is from I think it's from like my personal favorite era of Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is after Joel left when Mike Nelson first took over.
Yeah.
And you still had Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank playing the Mads. Nothing against Joel, but I like Mike Nelson better.
No, Mike was funnier. That's
the perfect. Like myself and my wife were like, what era of MST3K is this? Is this Mike with TV's Frank? Yes.
Yeah.
And Alien from LA is from that era, so I would recommend not watching the movie, but watching the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode.
Right. I will do that.
Because it's really funny. It's got Kathy Ireland in it. Kathy amazing. Ireland is the lead. And it's kind of it's the dumbest thing anyway, and it's full of like you ever read Journey to the Center of the Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like winking at that, like because that's really what it's about. Like they go underground, and there's an Atlantean culture at the center of the Earth, and they deny the existence of a surface world, and they look really weird, and she's an alien, and it's Kathy Ireland, and she's she's not an actress, so she's not an actress. She's doing her best, but
I'm
she's
shocked.
beyond.
Shocked.
So is Kathy Ireland. In fact, that's the look on her face most of the film. But no, like watch the Mystery Science Theater episode. It's was the first one I ever saw, and it's perhaps still one of my favorites. I mean,
All right.
it's not as good as Werewolf, but what is?
But what is? Yeah, no.
What is?
That's amazing.
Where was I? Okay, so Anders Alien for me. I've not seen Bloodsport. I've not seen Appointment with Death. I've never even heard of that. There's a Frog Prince and a Puss in Boots. There's also a Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen that. DC Follies. Oh, check it out. There's a Platoon Leader from 1988, which has Michael Dudikoff and Michael DiLorenzo, and was filmed in South Africa.
Well, and Michael Dudikoff was the American Ninja.
There you
He
go.
was too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Outlaw of Gore. I feel like that's also a Mystery Science Theater episode.
Yeah, Gore is was one of those old like pulp science fiction things, and they tried to make the movie out of it, and the movie ended up being its own like special problem. And yeah,
that's pretty much looking at the ones that they actually made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I
mean, there's a bunch of these that they had distribution for that were like foreign films that they essentially did like a localization for.
I've not
or,
seen that The Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood. I mean, that again, it sounds like porn.
Well, that was one of the things I was reading early on. Was
Looks
that
like porn.
Yeah, no. Initially, like they were basically like, a soft like they basically shot and like distributed like softcore porn films. It was really after these two like Israeli cousins essentially like bought the company that we got
Golden
like the
Globus.
Yep. So like it's interesting like looking at these like there's a lot of they were the ones that actually financed a lot of these films or produced them at least. And then there were far fewer that were actually produced by Canon Films per se, but like Golan and Globus is essentially Canon Films because they were the dudes that like actually owned.
Yeah, during the era where most people think of like the classic, the Canon '80s films, that was Golan Globus.
Yeah,
these two Israelis, and I think their business model was just like take some money, make something that make a trailer, see who's interested in the trailer.
Yep. No, and they were known
then
for
make
basically.
The movie.
Well, no, and they would scrape the bottom of the barrel for scripts. Like these were intentionally trying to make B films because they were actually reasonably smart guys. Like some of the financing stuff they ended up doing turned out to be criminal, but whatever.
But it's fine. It's fine.
That's later. We'll talk about that later. But they were sort of known for this. Like we're gonna go and like try to get a script for relatively cheap. It's been passed over a bunch of times, and they were also sort of known for like reading script treatments that were going around and then like being like, oh, we were inspired by it. Now we're gonna go write our own like knockoff screenplay.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of those Chuck Norris movies.
Chuck Norris.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. Like I always thought his claim to fame was that he was actually in Way of the Dragon, which was like the third Bruce Lee movie.
Okay.
He's basically the guy that Bruce Lee has to fight at the end for like the film to end. That's how I always think of these things. I was like, well, no, if you don't beat the big bad, then like we just have to sit here for like however many days worth of this movie until like somebody takes this guy down. Mm-hmm. So like, no, you got to like keep it to 2 hours, Bruce. Like, defeat this man so we can all go home. But like, yeah, but that was basically who Bruce Lee faced off with at the end of
something else I've never seen.
Way of the Dragon. It's not actually one of the better Bruce Lee movies. Like it's okay. Like there's a lot more comedy in that one, which I actually think is appropriate. But I mean, the best one is Enter the Dragon, far and away. Like
I've
the
never
other
even seen
Bruce.
that. I've never seen a Bruce Lee film.
Honestly,
There's
like, yeah, you're not really missing too much. Like a lot of it's been done since then.
hmm
I mean, it's fascinating to watch just in terms of like most of what he's actually doing is stuff that he's really doing.
yeah.
Like it's really him, and like he has stunt doubles for some stuff, but not many, and like all of the actual martial arts stuff, like that's all him.
hmm
There's not any like move by wire or stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That
It's
sounds
like I don't know. They might do like move by wire for like some of like the dramatic jumps like towards the end or some shit like that. But that's like I don't know. That's also like genre for those kinds of films that like pre-existed before him. So
Oh, wait. Did Canon also make the Walker Texas Ranger TV show?
did they?
It's what I'm looking at when like in the 90s when Golan and Globus were no longer running it. Uh there's the different era from
Hmm.
89 to 94. Globus was still involved. But yeah, it says
Interesting.
here Walker Texas Ranger.
Wow. All right. I did not know that. That tracks though.
Yeah, it sure does.
I mean, they definitely had Chuck. They basically gave. I mean, they helped Chuck Norris have a career essentially.
They were Chuck Norris's career.
Yeah. But I
Things
mean,
we are
like,
learning.
yeah, but I mean, people watched it, right? Like enough people did because like it made enough money. They kept doing it.
Yeah.
Or like Walker Texas Ranger was on for like fucking like 10 seasons or some shit like that, wasn't it?
I don't know. One
I don't.
Riot, one Ranger. 201 episodes aired from April 21st, 1993 to May 19th, 2001.
Okay, so like 8 years. That's
Yeah,
way
that's a
longer than that's. Wow. Okay.
I never watched any of it, so like
No, I never watched it. Like I thought it was kind of silly like at the time, and he'd kind of gone off over the deep end at that point. So I was like, no, never mind. But yeah.
The Cutting Edge, Quigley Down Under. These were
Oh
produced.
shit, they did that. Was that them or was that distribution?
This is produced by Pathé Entertainment, which was Canon's sister company.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, all right.
they may have just had distributions company, but yeah, they did Quigley Down Under, The Cutting Edge, which I don't know if I've seen or not. Um, I feel like I've seen some of it. I think I've watched that, The Cutting Edge. That's the movie with the hockey player and the
Figure skater, I think.
figure skater. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
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 that movie.
yeah. I've seen that one. Yeah.
Rush, Shattered, The Man in the Moon.
Hmm.
Yeah, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
There's a classic.
Yeah,
Uh,
Delirious with John Candy.
mm.
Life Stinks, which is that Mel Brooks movie that didn't do any of the other things that other Mel Brooks movies did, and so everyone forgets that it exists.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't look like much fun. It doesn't look like much fun. Cinema Paradiso? No.
Hmm.
Okay. No, this is that. That's just distribution. That's just distribution.
So, well, they had the distribution for like Highlander, but they
Yes,
didn't. But they didn't make Highlander.
I've seen Highlander.
No, I have too. It's yeah, it was okay.
It's
It's
yeah.
kind of
I was kind of
it's
disappointed in it, to be perfectly honest.
yeah. I mean, it was an interesting idea, and when you consider when it came out, you're kind of like,
Yeah,
all right, well, that's kind of cool, actually. Um, but it's a B movie, straight up.
yeah.
Real quick, I want to go back to the Oscar noms because we never talked about the last one, which was like Street
Street
Smart.
Smart. Yeah.
So,
Let's.
so that was a Christopher. That was apparently like a personal project that like Christopher Reeves had been trying to get off the ground for a while, and was having trouble getting funding for. So I kind of want to watch this movie now, especially because apparently Morgan Freeman essentially plays the antagonist, and it's very
That's reason enough.
yeah, well, it's very against type for like most of the roles that he's been given like for the last like 30 years.
hmm
And apparently he's like this. He's actually really scary in this movie, and I kind of want to see it. And apparently, there was the like action comedy years ago called like Lucky Number 11, where Morgan Freeman actually plays a like a gangster again, but it's more comedic, but it's definitely like apparently a callback to his character in Street Smart.
Okay.
And like I've heard a lot of really great things about Lucky Number 11, and also I mean like I know that Street Smart I think did okay in terms of critical acclaim. So I was reading the plot earlier, and I won't talk about it, but I was kind of like, yeah, this sounds really interesting.
I
It
don't
gets
know.
into like,
Christopher Reeve in a noir. That sounds like it could be good, actually.
and it's also about like journalistic integrity to a certain extent because he totally fucks that up apparently in the movie. So like, it's kind of an interesting like cautionary tale in some ways. So
Okay. Oh yeah, Freeman got a Best Supporting Actor nomination for this role.
okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of want to see it because he's like, I feel like in so many ways he's like, this grandfatherly figure, but it's like it'd be fun to see him like do some evil stuff, right? Like it's
Right, of course, you always want to see a
yeah.
bad guy. It's like watching Once Upon a Time in the West and
Yes,
seeing Henry Fonda play the
yes,
heavy.
yep,
That's
yep.
great.
Oh no, that's I
Henry Fonda's just pure evil in that movie, and it's just wonderful.
yeah, no, it's pretty fantastic. I'm definitely a fan of Once Upon a Time in the West.
I think that was the first Sergio Leone film I ever saw was Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see the Watch the Man with No Name trilogy until later. I've never actually watched all of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
it's worth seeing once.
Yeah, I really liked Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah,
And when I
which is
finally,
basically Yojimbo.
it's Yojimbo, and
Yeah,
Yojimbo is basically Red Harvest. So like, this is like
yeah,
a
yeah.
universal plot.
Yep.
And and then when I finally sat down and watched for a few dollars more,
Mm-mm.
I liked it more than I was expecting to. Like, Lee Van Cleef is fun. That whole scene where they shoot each other's hats
Yep,
is like just on the edge of being ridiculous,
yep,
but still works.
yep. They somehow managed to pull it off. Yeah, no, no,
And
and
it ends really strong.
no,
Like,
yeah,
it's
I
one of
agree.
those movies where you don't see the protagonist and the antagonist together until the end of the movie,
Yep,
and therefore it really kind of hits. So
yep.
that's
And there's
something that
good
makes
build,
it
and there's a good build to it, right?
right, really good build. Like, you see this bad guy being like really a son of a bitch, and
Oh yeah,
you want to see him get got.
yeah.
So it's really satisfying.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, it's we were talking about sort of like people playing against type. This is a bit of a tangent, but like um, one of my current like present day like favorites in terms of movies is still actually Drive by with it has Ryan
Oh
got
yeah.
yeah by it was directed by Reffing.
Refn. Yeah.
Yeah, Reffin. Yeah, I fucked up his name, but yeah,
I
no,
don't
like
know that I'm doing it right, so you could be wrong.
no, it's but like Albert Brooks as like the villain, and he's terrifying.
He is.
No,
He is
like he's
because he for exactly the same reason, because he just like is chill and laid back and
very
and
methodical. Like yeah,
very
no,
methodical, like not even like deliberately not even especially malevolent,
mm-hmm.
but when the need to be like he's the actual gangster, like he's a godfather.
He is. Yeah,
He's a
he is.
godfather. He's not gonna go looking for trouble, but if trouble's gonna come from the door, he's gonna slit its throat and leave it for the birds to eat, and he's not gonna feel particularly bad about it.
No, yeah, he was an interesting. It was just very it was fat because I'd seen him in so many things, and he was definitely playing against type in that particular movie. Um, but he
Yeah,
he
that was a
had
good
such a
movie.
strong performance. I mean, but I mean
Yeah,
the cast is amazing for that film.
yeah, the
I do
cast is perfect.
I do feel like that's like that particular director's best movie. Unfortunately, like I don't feel
Um,
like I don't well. What else have you liked by him?
Neon Demon I thought was good.
I still haven't seen that one. Is it worth it?
Yes,
Okay. All right. All right.
it's a little how do you it's
It's
very
like
arty.
the
It's
70s slasher movies with women, Argento films, that kind of thing.
it's a little of that. It has a certain I think it's too blue and purple to quite be a giallo film.
Okay.
Um
Okay.
and it's neon.
Okay.
So there's a
Okay.
very particular you can tell that it's a Refn film. It looks a lot like Drive. And
Okay.
it's it doesn't make as much sense as Drive.
That's what I've heard.
It's not as clear and nice and organized. It a lot of things are quite very kind of almost unsatisfactory, left open and
Mm-hmm.
left unfulfilled. Like it
Okay.
doesn't have that nice happy ending that you get, or satisfying ending that you get at the end of Drive.
Sure.
But
Sure.
it's worth checking out.
Okay.
Like I would watch it. I've watched it several times.
Okay.
It's very weird. It's kind of a vampire movie,
Interesting.
and it's a different take on it.
Okay.
It's a different take. It's basically a vampire movie,
Okay.
but it's a different take on it. And I really should have thought of it when we were doing our podcast about vampire movies, but that was supposed to be about vampire comedy and bad vampire movies, and so I don't consider this a bad vampire movie. I consider it quite good.
Okay. All right.
So
No, I mean
Neon
it's been on
Demon,
my list. I just haven't watched it yet.
I tried to watch Only God Forgives and got like 20 minutes into it, and I
It's
couldn't
terrible.
handle it.
Don't. Yeah. No, it's terrible.
I couldn't take it anymore. I was bored,
No, you
and
bailed out at the right time. Yeah.
I
No,
was, I
it
was
only gets weirder and more boring, and also still not like actually a good movie.
yeah, I think yeah.
You know, it gets like it's weird and boring and like kind of gross, and then you're just like, all right, but like why?
Why though?
Yeah, yeah. It's just like okay, well, so if the cop was actually the antagonist, or of the protagonist this whole time, but we shot the film from the antagonist's point of view, like, where's the like,
That
you
doesn't
know?
work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, where's where?
You
Yeah,
basically fucked with your audience's head.
yeah. I'm just like, so this was a head trip, but like, if you're gonna do this, like, what's the parable? Like, what's the if you're gonna make a movie like Memento or some shit like that, like at least have the payoff at the end, where there's like some pathos or something. But like,
Yeah, yeah. When in Memento, you understand why all
yes,
this is happening. It's all very clear. That is still Nolan's best movie.
hmm
Um,
I don't disagree.
that's still his best movie. And wait, it's not Nolan. Who am I thinking
Yeah,
of?
it was Nolan. That was his first film. Christopher
Was
Nolan.
okay.
Yeah,
He's doing a new movie about about Oppenheimer.
yeah. I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
I blogged about that on Content Blues, and I was like, I don't want to care. Like,
Yeah.
it's basically gonna be the Imitation Game.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, which is like a movie that you'll watch once. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, look how they figured it out.
Uh-huh.
And
Ta-da.
ta-da, I never need to watch this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, Memento. Memento is probably still his best movie, and it's other than the Dark Knight trilogy, which is a whole other thing. Um, Other than that, I feel like all of his movies are just like reworking the same themes.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Like even Inception is just kind of doing something on a similar idea. It's like, what is reality and
Oh,
what do you
sure.
choose to believe? And like, so Inception's really not doing anything different, and that's why I think that's why I didn't bother with what was that movie that came out, like Tenet.
Oh,
Like,
Interstellar or something like that.
no, I've never seen that. I've never seen
I haven't seen
Tenet.
that one either.
I
No,
haven't
I haven't
seen
seen Tenet either. Yeah.
yeah, and I haven't seen like I haven't seen Dunkirk because I'm really bored of World War II movies.
Yeah. Well, I think he moved on to like that. If you're a successful enough filmmaker, you eventually have to do like a period piece. You know, you have to do a historical movie or something. I don't know. Like it's a thing. Even Tarantino
Sure.
did it to a certain extent.
Yeah, but he Tarantino'd it, and he made it
He
like
did.
he almost made it like the World War II that should have been,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he gave it his own particular spice, which is why I enjoyed it. But they've been making movies about World War II since it was happening,
Yeah.
and I'm
It's kind of yeah. I'm over it too. I
done.
agree.
I'm
Yeah,
done.
I
Like
agree.
after what? After Saving Private Ryan, I mean,
No.
you can't there's nothing else to do. It's like how you there's not it's not necessary to make another movie about the Holocaust
Right.
after the one Spielberg did.
Right.
After Schindler's List, you can't do that any better.
Right.
Stop trying. So, um Prestige was good. The Prestige.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that one. I still haven't seen it.
It's good. It's nice watching Bale and Hugh Jackman
Chew
play
the
off each
scenery.
other. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a nice vibe they get together. Like they're both
Okay.
like prima donnas prima donning away at each other, and it works really well. And it's a clever film. Like Nolan does good good plot building. Good. He makes a good pot boiler. I just want him to move beyond his usual thing.
Okay.
That's where I am.
No, that makes sense to me. Like I would like to see it. Tessa read the book and she really enjoyed it. I still haven't like cracked it because I have so many other books I have to read first, but like
Right.
I'll get around to it eventually. I do want to like I know that what is it? David Bowie plays Tesla in that. Is that right?
Yes, and he's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Awesome.
It's hilarious. Like I never want to see another movie about Tesla because I feel like you can't beat that. David Bowie he's like, okay, this guy was weird. I'm just gonna make him super weird and like dissonant and disconnected from everything because that fits. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, like perfect. No, if you haven't seen The Prestige, it's a good movie. It's
All
probably the
right.
last really good Nolan film.
All right.
Um, but yeah,
So
his best thing is still Memento.
okay. No, I agree. It's like I did think it was. I did hear good things about it, and I do want to check it out. I am going to try to like steer us back on topic for a second here, though.
Dude,
Um, so I don't know if you've ever seen any like Jean Claude Van Damme movies, but like Bloodsport was like the movie that basically like made him famous. Like this was like that he would not have had a career without this film.
I've not seen Bloodsport. I have seen Lionheart.
Okay.
I don't know why I've seen Lionheart and not Bloodsport.
Yeah, I mean, like you know, I wouldn't say that like they're that. I mean, I don't know. I do feel like Bloodsport is kind of a classic. Like it's not like a great film, but like most like classic martial arts movies, frankly, aren't.
No.
But like it's interesting to watch. And it's it's just interesting in terms of like when it was made and some of what they actually have the guys doing in the film. Like I think for a lot of like Western audiences, this was the first depiction of like Muay Thai in like
Mm-hmm.
film. But it was interesting to me because like Van Damme was not actually a martial artist by trade; he was a gymnast. That they basically taught like martial arts to for camera, but
Yeah.
he's not like he wasn't like a Chuck Norris or a Bruce Lee or any of these other guys like in the martial arts movies that like Canon was doing. And like he's paired with a lot of extras from like 70s like extras from martial art films, which you can actually which I they're like, hey, I see that guy and that guy and that guy, sort of
Yeah.
point them
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
um but it's fun stuff. I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but if you're into like martial arts films, it's you can do worse than Bloodsport.
I mean, it's
It's ridiculous, and like it's a B movie. You are supposed to laugh at it, but like, yeah.
no. Here's our guy.
Hey, boss.
Hey, sorry about that, gents.
Kieran has entered the chat.
I have entered the chat. I completely spaced it tonight, man.
Hey, I almost spaced it too, and then like at 8:30, after as I'm putting my kids to bed, I was like, "Oh wait, we're doing a podcast. All right, girls, go to bed. Go to bed. I'm gonna be in my office. Don't unless you're bleeding. Don't come bother me. Hopefully they're asleep." But we were just talking about. We've gone through all the lists of Canon films that I've seen. I've seen almost none. We were just talking about Bloodsport.
Yep.
And we kind of got off into a tangent about Nicholas Winding Refn films and Christopher Nolan films.
Yep.
Did we cover the fantastic unreleased Fantastic Four film?
Was that supposed to be a Canon movie?
That was Canon, dude. Roger Corman, Canon.
Right. I thought that was released.
No, it was never. Well, no,
officially.
Not officially. It was the original one with the thing looked like a fucking repainted Ninja Turtles costume. Doctor Doom looked like a repainted Shredder outfit. The sound on it was terrible. But me and Mike here have had the pleasure, and I say that dubiously, of having seen that one. A friend of ours had downloaded it, and
it's a Roger Corman movie on top of that.
And that horrible Scottish man subjected us to it, and there was that, and there was also Superman: The Quest for Peace, Superman 4. That was also
that was a Canon movie.
We talked about that earlier,
as was Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren.
We talked about that too. Dolph Lundgren.
Plus a bunch of other like half-baked bullshit ass films that I never even saw that just did the same damn set.
Dude, I was going down the list and half of them sound like porn.
Well, so like I did actually watch like the first two like American Ninja movies when I was in like elementary school, and it's like total like cheese on wheat. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like things happen in a sequence, but there's an internal logic to these films that like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
non-Euclidean geometry, bro.
Certainly, yeah.
Cthulhu made
wait,
this
how does that character know that? Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that. So,
like, you gotta be really fucking up if you make a friggin' Superman movie that does worse than the one that had Richard Pryor in it. I mean, you're.
I liked Richard Pryor in Superman 3, but I did not like Superman 3. Yeah,
Superman 3 is not as bad as Superman 4.
It's not.
No.
Superman 4 is 3, like really bad.
Superman 4 is campy and corny and dumb. Superman 3 is grim and completely unenjoyable.
I mean,
you can enjoy Superman 4 as trash. It has that quality B movie vibe where everything that's going on is ridiculous.
Well, they're not even trying in Superman.
They're not even trying. Yeah. And the Superman comes and says hi to the Pope, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I forgot that happened.
Right, I've seen that movie a couple of times, but it doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth. It's like, oh, that was ridiculous. It's you laugh. It's charming and it's
but yeah, the Roger Corman. We almost got a freaking Spider-Man movie from Canon.
Yeah, and then in the mid-80s, that was something else I had found out earlier, was that they had the rights to Spider-Man for the longest time, and Canon had originally planned to do a movie for Spider-Man in the 80s, and it never materialized.
And I almost guarantee, had they done it, it would have been worse than the 70s Spider-Man, the late 70s Spider-Man made-for-TV movies. Which
I remember the Spider-Man TV show from when I was a kid. I remember watching that.
Yep, me too.
That was terrible.
On a slight diversion from that, it would not have been as awesomely bonkers as the late 70s Japanese live-action Spider-Man show, Spider-Man, which is
That show
some
is a
next
trip.
level shit, man. Like,
That show's a trip. It's amazing if you can
It
find
is
it. If you can find it anywhere, watch
bonkers.
it because it's like it's
I'm
a
already
completely
sold.
it's so funny.
You
Japanese
can watch it.
Spider-Man?
You can watch it on YouTube. You used to be able to watch it at MTV and Marvel.com. Actually,
It's a crazy show. It's great though. It's
it
amazing.
is bonkers. It is bonkers in all the greatest ways something can be bonkers.
Peter Parker is a
Because
race car driver in Japan.
he's not even Peter Parker. He's some
Yeah.
Japanese dude. He's a motocross. He's a motocross driver, right?
But
Here
he's
comes Spider-Man. He's a demon on wheels.
Something like
much.
that.
Yeah,
And in
something like
fact, his tagline is "I'm Spider-Man, an emissary from hell." Because
amazing. I didn't know that.
because
That's
yeah,
hilarious. Wow.
because
Oh
he's
man!
dead serious on vengeance for his fallen father. And,
Of course, of course.
Okay.
dead
Like,
serious. And
I'd
like,
forgotten that was a component. That was like the overarching plot. That
And
was his
like-
motivation. Shit. Okay.
and he's
Right.
like fighting the Iron Cross Army or some shit like that. I can get it called, which is led by Professor Monster and his aide de camp Amazonas. And
How did
This
you
sounds-
become Professor Monster? I went to Monster College. Excuse me.
I did not spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mister. Thank you so much.
I don't know if you can get tenured as Professor Monster, but apparently in Japan. Apparently in Japan.
Strong dissertation.
I mean, that must have been a hell of a dissertation. I mean, but I mean,
I thought my
don't think-
econ professor was scary. Shit.
And like he's got machine bems, which are his friggin' the name of his monsters. But this Spider-Man will pick up a Mac-10 and shoot the hell out of some Iron Cross army, which is not robots but people in weird putty patrol / with duck faces on it kind of thing.
This sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
And
This sounds
It's a
like
unique-
the greatest
it's a unique
Spider-Man
experience.
film of all time.
it's
a TV show.
It's a TV show, and
I don't
I
care.
ain't even gotten the best one yet. He gets his powers from this guy named Gara, who is a prince from the planet Spider from space, and then he
Thank
gets
you,
his
Japan.
costume and his like web shooter. But along with this web shooter comes Machine Spider something, which is a race car which can fly and has missiles and machine guns. And it flies up into the air and joins with the spacecraft Marveler, which then transforms into the giant robot Leopard and direct shit.
I've forgotten that was where like Leopardon like originally started. That's
Change
crazy.
No,
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
This is
Dun, 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 dun. Look it up on YouTube, man. You'll see the theme.
I'm doing
And
it right now.
and here's the great thing: in the Into the Spider-Verse 2, which is called something else, I can't remember. They got enough votes that they're going to put Spider-Man in that one as one of the alternate universe Spider-Mans. I heard because he shows up into the Marvel Into the Spider-Verse comic book series, wearing the bullshit ass villain like Rex Shop on Leopard, and I'm like, that's nonsense. That robot is like 10 times his size, and he ain't strong enough to just rip its arm off like it's some bullshit. No, you fucking stupid ass space vampire. Take your ass whooping like you're supposed to. Sometimes Marvel be pissing me off with their bullshit.
Thank you, Japan.
Yeah, Japan, man. But Japan came up with that shit, and it's like Stan Lee loved it. Like, Stan Lee's like, this is the most glorious fucking interpretation of anything I've done I have ever fucking seen. Like, he thought it was just wonderful. And that's how, that is actually through that with Toei, is how Marvel got the license to both the Shogun Warriors and Godzilla to do a comic book with them in it.
I found it on YouTube. This is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, you're in for a
yeah.
treat. If you've never seen this, it's amazing.
It is.
Mike, what was the name of that movie that you brought? I mean, you watched at my house that had like that Japanese band in it that had like
Wild
Oh,
Zero.
Wild Zero. Yeah.
yeah, starring Guitar Wolf.
Yep.
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 Wild Zero.
Yep.
That was great. This looks better.
It
Yeah,
is.
this is better actually. Yeah.
This is very much is. So funny enough, Mike came over with that movie that we watched with my wife not terribly long into the subject, to put further strain on my marriage because I find subjecting my wife to horrific media to be
Well, she'd
highly
never seen it,
entertaining.
and you guys were like, "Oh no, we need to see." Like you were like, "Oh no, she needs to see this movie," and I was like, okay."
Hey,
You gotta live here.
At least I've never cracked my copy of Meet the Feebles that Kellen left here as a hate crime.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That movie is. See,
I
Mike.
sat through it once. That was enough.
Yeah, but you at least had the benefit of alcohol. The first time I saw that, I was stone cold sober
I'm so sorry.
I
in
feel
Dallas,
like
Texas.
talked about this before. The infamous Meet the Feebles viewing.
We did. It's traumatic, but it's fine. We'll move on.
Peter Jackson has done better. We'll just admit it.
It touched poor Mike in his no spots.
Jesus.
I mean, I had a lot to drink, so I'm good.
Yeah, but you were sobering up towards the end there.
I was. It's true. Fortunately, the bar was still open when we were done. So yeah.
Yeah, I recall. I recall it was me, you, your wife, and
It was hilarious.
And he was sort of like, "Oh yeah, well, that's nothing compared to Let My Puppets Come." I'm like, I've never even heard of Let My Puppets Come, and that just sounds like puppet porn, and that's not. And while Meet the Feebles has elements of that, Meet the Feebles is a goddamn war crime. All right.
So we've got. I'm looking at like early Canon, like before Golan Globus, when it was all just like this is all just B movie trash.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Joe earlier.
Yeah.
And we've got stuff like the Blood on Satan's Claw.
Right.
Which wannabe Hammer horror.
Sure. There's a lot of copycats for Hammer in those days.
Guess what we learned in school today? Crucible of Horror, Cauldron of Blood, Made in Sweden, MIAD. The Young Playmates, aka Au Pair Girls.
Oh wait, they made.
Hey, what happens in that movie? No.
I did not know they made Missing in Action and Invasion USA or the sequels to Death Wish, which I have seen.
They basically gave like Chuck Norris a career. Like
they
Chuck
made
Norris...
Missing in Action?
They did.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was 1984. Followed by Invasion USA and then Delta Force.
Yeah, and Delta Force. Yep.
Oh, right. There it is. Missing in Action.
Yep.
I don't think I've seen that. I feel like I've seen Missing in Action. Yeah, I've seen Missing in Action 2. Do you see me?
Yep. Here we are. All right, well, after some great technical difficulties brought on by the gods for us daring to talk about Canon Films.
Canon Films is cursed.
It's clearly cursed.
Oh, there I am.
So there is a connection between the Fantastic Four Roger Corman film and Arrested Development. Now, I can't remember what season it is.
Oh, it's the actress that... Yeah.
She played Susan Storm Richards is in Arrested Development as herself because she's in therapy with Tobias Funk, who this is how he ends up accidentally on How to Catch a Predator and becoming a sex offender because he shows up in his Thing costume talking about he needs to get his rocks off, and like it's just
why is any of this happening?
Yeah.
It's like almost a whole season of Arrested Development. They would have milk comedy from this.
Oh, God.
It may have even been the last season. Not the last reboot season, but like the last one pre-reboot. I think. I am not 100% sure.
I've only made it to like season 2 or 3 of Arrested Development. I kind of got the joke and was like, okay, I get
It's
it.
a lot of Archer crossover, but beyond that,
Ah,
That's the thing I'll say for Arrested Development is they will layer a joke and then like keep it going
yeah.
and like keep adding to it. So like, and they mostly pull it off. So like, I'll give them props for that. But like after a point, like the show gets a little like hard to watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. I remember a very early Best of the Worst episode where they watched that and Supergirl and the 1990 Captain America.
Oof.
It's so
And
bad.
between those three, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four came out on top as being the most watchable film because Supergirl is trash.
It is.
It's
I remember
bad.
watching that. And so is that Captain America. Sadly, what they should have thrown
Also
in the mix
bad.
for a little entertainment was the David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. movie. Now,
That's so bad.
I have not discussed this on the podcast, but David Hasselhoff is my heroic nemesis. And I have been plotting his downfall for years. Sadly, I can enact none of my plots because he's so goddamn self-destructive. There's nothing I can do to him that he hasn't already done to himself.
You do actually raise a salient point.
How do you go from Knight Rider to a shitty 90s Marvel movie?
Or Baywatch, for that matter.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, there was a step over from Knight Rider to Baywatch.
Baywatch had titties. I mean,
There's
really more boob watch.
There's no fact about Baywatch that needs to be known other than what you just said. That was
and it started Jason Momoa's career, but
they started. That's what everyone said about it while it was happening.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that needs to be said about Baywatch.
Correct.
I mean, I'm surprised David Hasselhoff never did a Canon film. It seems right up his alley.
Are we certain that he didn't?
I don't know.
Let's look. Let's see if we can. David Hasselhoff.
Canon films.
He's still alive. He's big in Germany. He was born in Baltimore.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Hence, my heroic nemesis.
Your heroic nemesis. All right. Knight Rider, Baywatch, later career.
You want to call it that?
Half Space.
He makes a cameo in A Dirty Shame.
Well, he is, and he also makes a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh yeah, you're right. He does.
Half the Record.
And he does a song for the movie Kung Fury, which
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw that in the theater with my ex. Yeah.
That was a movie I was really ready to like and didn't like. It didn't hit for me.
shit, man, I helped kickstart that motherfucker.
It's not a good movie, but yeah.
I wanted to
funny.
like it. I wanted to. But
I enjoyed it for what it was, which was utter
strange.
insane schlock.
It was.
Oh, you said Kung Fury. I thought you meant Kung Pao, Enter the
No,
Fist.
Kung Fury.
No. Kung Fury is a different one. I've also seen that one. Yes, it is bad. Yeah.
It is bad, but it's deliberately bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun.
I'm looking for his a list of works by David Hasselhoff. The look on his face on the Wikipedia page is hilarious, dude. I'm like, no, these are all music. This is all musical. I don't care about this. Nobody cares about Hasselhoff's music career.
Except the Germans.
Except the Germans. And
Except the Germans.
They
He was in Dodgeball,
Yeah.
where the German Dodgeball's team battle cars Hasselhoff.
yeah, I don't see anything like I'm not
Big in Germany.
No, big in Germany.
What film was he in?
99 and Luftballon.
I mean, that's still better than anything Hasselhoff put together.
So he's like 70 now.
He's 69, yeah.
Ugh,
69 dudes. No, I've just got Knight Rider and Baywatch. I've got nothing. I don't think he's. Yeah, he was roasted on Comedy Central because everyone has been and everyone will be, and that's
He
how
was
we.
even
That's what we
roasted by his
approach
own
the
car.
Event Horizon. He was a guest judge on the Belgian Idols competition. Like, how bored are we right now that we're looking at David Hasselhoff's film career?
Because one of us was convinced that somehow he was might be connected to Canon Film. I mean,
it's a reasonable assumption.
It's a reasonable assumption. I mean, okay, look, Chuck Norris, who's like a goddamn internet meme at this point, and a legitimately good martial artist, has a career largely because of Canon Films.
Yes, that point
is true.
has been beaten to death at this point.
I was thinking, like, what else do we have, or should we just?
Did Christopher Reeves do any movies after freaking Superman 4?
He did a few. He was in, I think the last movie I saw him in before he had like his accident and broke his spine or whatever, was Speechless, which was a Gina Davis, Michael Keaton movie.
What are we talking about now?
Christopher Reeves.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
The classic Superman, which I do feel we need to touch on. The
original Superman.
Yeah, I think we need to touch on those particular the first two films at some point on this podcast because
we did before you got here.
Why
you were late, man. You were late.
There's this magical device. It's called a motherfucking phone, dude.
Mike texted you.
That doesn't mean a goddamn. I ignore my text past a certain point. Ain't no reason no one should be texting me past 9.
You can't call attention to the phone and then say I don't answer my phone.
No, I said I don't answer my texts. Big difference.
No, it's all on the same device. This is 2022.
No. If someone calls me, that's fucking important.
All right, so next time I will call you. Sorry.
I really want to try to blame Andrew for this one.
You can try, but it's not going to happen.
Well, it's true.
I'm innocent.
I mean, I checked in with you guys yesterday.
Wait. You are many things. You are innocent of this wrongdoing, sir. You are not innocent.
We're all sinners in the hands of an angry God.
Bloody Mary.
Shall we Forky McForkerson this one?
I think we're gonna have to Forky McForkerson. But
I think we are.
First, let's let Kieran say whether he likes Superman or Superman 2 better. Let's give him that.
Yeah, I'm curious
because that's a good question.
The first one, the first Superman movie, that was excellent score, good enough plot. I mean, a Silver Age style Superman plot.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot less executive interference than Superman 2 had.
Yeah.
So Superman 2 was fairly solid in a lot of ways, but it introduced even weirder powers than Superman had in the Silver Age, which I need not remind you include super basket weaving and super ventriloquism.
And super throwing his S.
Super saran wrap. Or is it super wrap?
That was the
I'm
first time I
watched
a Deus Ex Machina in a movie. That was the clearest example of a Deus Ex Machina I'd ever seen as a child. Just like, I'm going to throw my S. Did you know I could do that? I didn't even know it until I did that.
I will also say I'm surprised that in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, they didn't have Superman rap. It seems like something they might do. Or is that purely 90s? That might be purely 90s.
I don't know. Like, they were starting to get into that in, like, the 80s. Like, they were just like, oh, no, now we're going to have a part where we have the characters rap for some inexplicable reason. Yeah.
You can't have Christopher Reeves rap. You can get Robin Williams to do it. You cannot get Christopher Reeves to do it. And I am reminded for some strange reason that if we haven't done it yet, at some point we need to cover the movie Clue on this motherfucking podcast. Because that is a goddamn classic.
I feel like we did do that one.
Did we? Oh, when we were talking about the Rocky Horror. But yeah, we talked about when we were talking about the Rocky Horror.
I feel like we talked about it a lot during when we were talking about Rocky Horror.
Tim Curry, the Tim Curry connection.
Yeah. That's possible.
Flames on the side of my face.
Giving breaths, breathing.
completely ad-libbed by Madeline Kahn, actually.
I
She just
believe
did
it.
that off script.
No,
I
she was
believe it.
amazing.
She was amazing.
Madeline Kahn. Madeline Kahn. What?
Have we done an episode on Mel Brooks yet?
I was literally just thinking that.
We should do that. That should be the
We
next
should
one.
do that. That should be the next
Let's
one.
do Mel Brooks. We've talked
Alright.
about Mel Brooks before. Next month we'll do Mel Brooks. That's bad. We don't have to
The
ask.
History of the Weird Part 1.
Have you got a pack of Trojans? Anyway.
Just ran
out. All right. Let's kill this dog.
All right.
This has been the shallow and pedantic episode about Canon films. I am Andrew.
I'm Mike.
And I am Kieran. It was doomed from the start.
It was doomed.
Doomed, I said.
Doomed.